Okay. So what I like to do every year to start the year in math is I like to talk about, yes, English is important, yes, history is important, yet all the subjects are important, but math is really the only subject that no matter what you do for a living, you're going to use math every single day as an adult. And so let's think about some what situations or jobs where you're going to use math. For instance, your parents use math to get you up this morning. Okay, how would your parents, what would have been involved in getting you up this morning that would have used math? Think about the fact that none of you live the exact same distance from BGA. So how would math have played a role in when you needed to do that, Maggie?
Like your parents telling you have to get up, you're like, you have 15 minutes to get to the bus or to catch the bus.
Yeah, they know how far you live from school. They know what your morning routine is. Some of you take a shower at night, some take a shower in the morning, some of you eat breakfast at home, some of you eat breakfast in the car, and they know, okay, it's going to take this long to get to school, it's going to take this long for you to, like one of the things I have to do in the morning is take my dog out and feed him. And so I have to, take all that into consideration, and so they actually use math to actually figure out what time to get you up in the morning. Okay, if you go to a restaurant and your server does a really good job, you're going to give them something. So what is it you're going to give your server at a restaurant if they do a really good job? Caroline? A tip. Okay? And not only do you do it at a restaurant, and you may not even know this because y'all aren't the ones paying, but if you get a haircut, okay, they're going to give your person that cuts your hair a tip. If your dog is the kind of dog that has to go to grooming, mine has to go to grooming, I give my dog groomer a tip. If you get your nails done, if you're a girl, you're going to pay a tip. Okay? Anytime someone does something for you, you're going to pay a tip, and it's about 15%. If someone does a really good job, you could pay them more than that. But you need to be able to do math to be able to do that. What about if you go to a store and you want to buy something that costs $19.95 and you have a $20 bill? Can you buy that thing if it costs $19.95 and you have a $20 bill, Maddie?
They have to give you change back.
Well, you actually can't. Why can you not pay with a $20 bill if it's $19.95? Starts with a T. Tax. Okay? Now, in Tennessee, every state has a different tax rate. Tennessee actually has a pretty high one. Ours is a little more than 9%, which means that for every dollar you spend in Tennessee, you've got to pay almost 10 cents in tax, which doesn't sound like a lot, but think about if you buy something like a car or something that costs a lot of money, for every dollar you're paying 10 cents. And so you've got to be able to kind of calculate that in your head, especially if you're paying cash, because it'd be embarrassing to get up to pay, and they're like, you don't have enough money, to cover it. So you need to know math to be able to even pay for something. Also, when they give your change back, I've had it happen to me before where I haven't been given the correct change, so you want to make sure that you get the correct change back. What's something that might happen in the kitchen at your house that would involve math? Oliver.
When you're cooking, when you're making a cake or something, you can go on multiple steps, but one of the earlier steps is when you go to the store and you're gonna buy vinegar or whatever. You gotta, if there's multiple options, you check the fluid ounce, but when you actually get to the kitchen,
So let's say you're following a recipe. Why might math be involved in following a recipe?
Because when you are putting stuff in, you'll have to measure how much you're actually putting in.
Got it. Measurement is involved in cooking, and sometimes you might have, like, a recipe might make something for 10 people and you don't need that much, so you could half the recipe. Sometimes you might need to make something like cupcakes or something, and the recipe makes 12 and you need to make way more than 12. You can double or triple or whatever the recipe, so math would be involved there. Okay, what might be some other situations that you would need math or you might use math? Yes?
Like when you're putting a cake in the oven, you have to put a certain time. And let's say your oven kind of doesn't work, you have to use the time that it gave you in your head to figure out
exactly.
how much.
Exactly. And my oven, for instance, it doesn't let me put in an hour and a half. I have to put it in a minute, so I have to know that an hour and a half is 90 minutes and things like that. What would be a reason that a doctor or a nurse or someone in the medical field, why would it be very, very important? There's lots of reasons, but what would be something that would be an important reason that they would need to know math?
So like if they need to give you like an injection or something, they need to know how much fluid.
Exactly, like a shot. Like you wouldn't want your shot to have too much of something or not enough of something. So yeah, definitely. If you want to be an accountant, all they do is like watch other people's money. If you want to go into banking, if you want to be a teacher, obviously, even if you're not a math teacher, what's something that involves numbers that any teacher, no matter what they teach, has got to, something about their job has to do with numbers.
How many kids are in their class?
Okay. And for instance, how do you know if you're doing well in a class or not? Or if you did well on a test, how do you know that?
Because they give you like
Yeah, your grades. Okay, they have to do grading. And two, just any adult, no matter what you do for a job, you get paid. And you've got to be able to manage your money. Okay, you've got to pay for your house, you've got to pay for your car, you've got to pay for your water at your house, your electricity, your parents got to pay for school. And so if you have, if you get money, which all adults do that have jobs, you've got to be able to, balance your money. You don't want to go and scan your debit card and then say, oh, you don't have any money in the bank. So you need to keep track of that. And that's math, no matter what you do for a living. Yes.
Also, another thing that doctors would need to know is like if they're drawing blood, you don't want to draw too much.
Yeah, exactly. There's lots of things with doctors, even like if surgeons have to cut people open, which is bad, but you might need to know math to be able to make sure you do that right as well. Oliver.
When you buy a house, in order to know if it has a good value, a lot of people will check the square foot,
Mhm.
and some people they pay, instead of paying it all in one shebang, they'll pay it in monthly. And you gotta make sure that I pay this much and I'm getting this much from my job, so I do this like budgeting.
Yeah, he's right. Houses are, you can look at how much a house costs per square foot, and so you can compare things. So again, literally every single day you will be involved, you'll be encountering math no matter what you do for a living. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna watch a short video, and it's basically a class, and they're telling their teacher like, when am I ever gonna use this? And they think they're not gonna use math as an adult. And so several of the jobs that we've talked about, you're gonna see on here, but there's actually several jobs that we haven't talked about that you'll see on here as well. And then we're gonna do an activity after we watch this. It starts out in black and white, it's not black and white though, and there are parts of it that are silly, so just know that ahead of time.
I didn't know exactly what was wrong, but something here did not add up.
I'm going to make interactive programs.
I'm gonna help keep cars on the road.
I want to help people stay healthy. So why
Do I?
need math? Afternoon, class. Pass your homework forward. Today we're going to try something a little bit different. Looks like geometry class is off on another tangent. Mrs. Rapp's trying a new angle on math. You see, some of us wonder, why do we need math? It's like Would you like to join the rest of the class, or would you rather intersect with the principal? Can anyone help me with this problem? Mr. Peterson?
Come on, it's not like we're gonna need to know this stuff.
This stuff isn't just useful now, it'll help you in the future.
Yeah, someday when we have to measure angles of trajectory for airplanes.
Okay, how do you plan on using math later on in life? Anyone?
It's not like we want to be rocket scientists or anything.
The projected trajectory of your space vehicle at an estimated distance of 33 billion miles, divided by the distance for vehicle travel, based on the extended hypotenuse theory, it will ultimately depend on overwhelming percentages of human toil, determination, and grit.
Okay, maybe you're not going to be a rocket scientist, but you do use math now. In sports,
Looks like a good match here. Oh, and he goes in. 2, he breaks. 4, 6, 8, 10, and that's the game.
at home, at the store.
12, 13, 14, 15, and 5 makes 20.
What kind of job can you get where you won't need math?
I just want to pitch. Why do I need math for that?
Okay, well, what will the rest of you do that won't need math?
I want to work on the net.
Multimedia, good. Who else?
I want to take care of cars.
I want to take care of people.
So, you all want to do these jobs, and that way you won't have to know math? I have bad news for you. Most jobs use math every day. All of those jobs, even pitchers.
Pitchers using math? You're right.
You don't think so?
Hey, down here.
I'll take it from here. My success as a pitcher is measured by my earned run average, or ERA. That's the percentage of pitches I throw that end up as runs for the other team.
But don't other people figure that stuff out for you?
I'd better be able to make sure it's right. My job's writing on it. For instance, I multiply the number of runs times the number of innings I've pitched, and divide by the number of innings in a game. That's how I get my ERA, which is 3.8.
Ow! Throw the phone out! Aren't there other things you have to calculate?
Sure. Are you all right?
Yeah.
There are batting averages.
Strikeout to walks ratio?
Sure, baseball's a game of numbers.
Throw the phone out!
If the seventh inning stretch lasts 3 minutes, and Cyril takes 1 minute to get to the hot dog stand, 1.5 minutes to get to the head of the line, 2 minutes to get his hot dog, and 1.25 minutes to get back to his seat, how much of the bottom of the seventh inning will Cyril miss?
None. The bottom of the seventh never starts back on time.
But don't forget, there may come a day when someone takes the ball away. I've got to make a living, so I went into real estate. If I didn't know math, I wouldn't know how to calculate everyday problems like interest rates for loans.
But how do the rest of these jobs need math? Like someone doing interactive programs or the net.
Take a look.
If you'd like to find out more about how math is used in multimedia, click here. When we produce video media for an interactive program, like a CD-ROM or DVD, we need to know that there's only a certain amount of storage space on the disk. Full screen, full motion video takes up a lot of that space.
And you need other types of information besides video on the disc, right?
Exactly. We need programming, background art, graphics. But if I only play the video at quarter screen, that's 1/4 the full screen size. I only take up 1/4 the storage space. I need to estimate how much of my information should be full screen video, and how much should be quarter screen, and how much I'll need for other things like graphics. The face of interactive is always changing.
It's constantly changing. We use math all the time for graphics in interactive programs. A computer screen is measured in what we call pixels. When I place buttons on a background, they need to be proportional so that we get a balanced, symmetrical look for the final screen. All that information has to go on this disk.
Didn't realize these things were so heavy.
Thanks.
Cars used to be pretty simple to fix, but it's obvious they're more complicated these days.
Oh, obviously.
Cars are computer complex now.
Aren't there a lot of sensors and things to tell you what to do?
Sensors just diagnose problems. We train technicians, not mechanics. It takes a lot of thought.
The computers only do so much.
Sure. For example, when we resurface or turn brake discs, we have to convert back and forth from metric to decimal inch. Sometimes the discs are metric and our equipment may only measure in decimal inch. It's more complex than you'd expect.
Oh, really?
All right, Einstein, you try this one. If a taillight sells for $78.48 retail or $47.09 wholesale, and I've got two parts houses I can go to, one that'll give it to me at a 35% discount off of retail, or the other will give it to me at 25% over wholesale, which is the best deal?
Well, if it's a tail light, wouldn't it have to be retail?
Yeah, but why?
Because the 35% off retail is only $51.01. But the wholesale price plus 25% is $58.86.
Right. Now, if an intake valve needs 8 1/1000ths of an inch clearance, and I measure it, is he okay?
He's just looking for attention.
I think he's hurt.
Seriously, I'll be okay. You must use that.
I need an IV drip, stat.
You guys are really overdoing this.
If the doctor wants an IV drip over an 8-hour period, I need to be able to calculate the number of drips in this 1000cc bag, figure out how many minutes there are in the next 8 hours, and determine the drip rate, which is how many drops of medication should flow per minute. What that does is give the patient the right amount of medication over the right period of time, and that helps keep our patients healthy.
This really isn't necessary, guys.
History would be so different if we didn't have math.
Imagine what would have happened to the pyramids if they didn't have math.
Science keeps moving forward and space travel is almost in reach. Professor, how much fuel do you think it will take to send a rocket ship into space?
Undoubtedly, based on my experience, calculation, and extensive hypotheses, I can say most assuredly, what?
What?
Yes, quite a lot.
When I place print ads, I get charged by the column inch. If this ad measures 13 column inches, and the ad rate is $16 per column inch, then I need to multiply 13 column inches by $16 to determine that it will cost my client $208 to run this ad.
At an accident site, we can determine the speed a vehicle is traveling based on the measurement of its skid and by using the formula called the coefficient of friction.
Do I use math? But of course I use math. To measure the area of a pie, I have to multiply pi times the radius squared. If I am making my world-famous lemon meringue pie, and the party requires 7 pies instead of 1, I need to multiply the original recipe by 7 in order to make sure that I have the proper amount of ingredients to make the right number of pies. Oui? Need butter.
When we're grading an area, taking dirt from one area to another, we try to balance it out so that the volume of dirt we remove from the one area is enough to fill the other. If it's not, we need to figure out how much more dirt we'll need to order.
Part of owning a business is knowing how much stock we'll need for our customers. We have to make sure that if we drop prices for a sale, we don't drop them lower than our cost of doing business, or else we'll lose money.
As a prominent video host, I have to be able to calculate my salary. Hey, wait a second.
When I get to a call, if someone needs medication, I need to calculate the proper dosage. Now that dosage is based on the solution concentration, which is the amount of medicine in the solution itself. If these calculations are not done correctly, the medication I give my patient may be more harmful than helpful.
When I work on blueprints, it's important for me to know the scale our plans are written in. If 1/4 inch equals 1 foot, then a 4.5 inch line would be equal to an 18-foot wall. If I didn't know math, my calculations could end up all wrong.
the results could be disastrous.
So, how often do you have to make calculations like these on the job?
Every day.
All the time.
Not enough butter.
Daily.
Every single day.
Every day.
Maybe, but there's gotta be other jobs that don't need math. What if I want to be a rock star?
A rock star? See for yourself.
People, you're gonna need a little more action than just addition and subtraction. Percentages and a whole lot of fractions. These are things you need to know.
If a plane leaves Los Angeles for Mexico City at 2 o'clock in the afternoon going 500 miles an hour, where does the luggage end up?
Rocket scientist or rock star, building hyperdrive, fixing the car. Start with the basics, you're on the path. From the time tables all the way up to higher math.
Hello, is this the bank? Yes, well, there seems to be some mistake. I can't be overdrawn. I still have checks. What? You mean I have to balance my checkbook?
The volume of geometrics, proportions, and simple logistics. My favorite, sports statistics. These are things I need to know.
How? I got it all down. Multiply, divide, and subtract. Now, higher math, baby.
Let's visit Mrs. Rapp's kitchen. As a domestic engineer, when Mrs. Rapp formulates lunch for her family, she estimates that all 3.5 members of her family require 38% of their minimum daily requirements at approximately 12:15 p.m., 11:15 Central. For instance, Michael will need 35 grams of carbohydrates, 50 grams.
At home, I have a family to take care of. They need a balanced diet, and I have to make sure I meet their nutritional needs while keeping our budget in check too. I have to budget, shop, and I need to keep my family schedule on track.
I have a household budget to maintain, and my mortgage, utilities, and monthly bills get paid out of that. In our den, we have an 8-foot wall, and we wanted to put in 7 shelves. I needed math to figure out how many blocks and boards I needed to make our shelves.
Hi, I'm Les. And I'm Mac. And this is Tabulation Talk.
Today we're talking to people who don't know math.
So let's meet our first guest.
Our first guest is a young man who wants to pursue a career as a race driver, but he doesn't know math because he'll never need it. Please welcome Mickey. Welcome, Mickey.
Thanks. So, you want to be a race car driver because you won't need math. That's right, Les.
Well, let's cut to the chase. If you're racing in the Indy 500 and your average speed is 100 miles per hour, but you have a 10% margin for error, what would be your lowest possible speed?
And what would be your highest?
I don't know.
I'm sorry. Johnny, let's tell Mickey about his consolation prize.
Well, Mickey, you have not won a career in race driving, but you have got yourself a lifetime job at the car wash.
Mickey, the correct answer is your lowest possible speed would be 10 miles per hour less. Less?
And your top speed would be 110 miles per hour max. Max?
Looks like you don't quite know what you're talking about, Mickey.
But I wouldn't need to know that, would I?
Now, as a twist, let's bring out a young lady who would like to explore space and realizes that, yes, she will need math. Give a warm welcome to Annette. Annette joins us with a wealth of knowledge. She knows that if she wants to travel in space, she'll need at least 12 years of math. Max?
And she'll need 24 different specialty skills, no less. Less? Maximum math. That's a lot less. Annette?
You're both right. If I want a career as an astronaut, I'll need a lot of education. When it comes to math, I'll need to know fractions, decimals, ratios, measurement, probabilities, statistics, negative numbers, other number bases, radicals, linear equations, polynomials, algebraic
At least
representation,
less.
trigonometry, vectors, imaginary numbers, factoring.
You know, statistically, 98% of you are going to need math later on in life.
Not me. I'm shooting for the 2% that'll never need it.
You used it right there.
Whatever.
Before you go, somebody, anybody, let's do this problem. Hold on, take your seats. Mr. Peterson.
Multiply your x and y there. 10 times 20 is 200. Divide by z, or 5, and that equals 40. That's your answer.
Excellent. All of you, homework. Start thinking about math skills you'll need for future jobs. These pamphlets have tips about things you'll probably have to know.
Hey, how'd you know that?
Hey man, I have to know it. What about you and all that I'm never gonna need math stuff?
Hey, okay, so I'm gonna need math. Everybody does. But I'm not gonna let her know that I know that.
Who would have guessed math was so important?
Yeah, where are you off to?
Going home, hit the books.
A calculated move. You need it, I need it, everybody needs math. And so do you. See ya.
Alright, so we are going to do an activity, and since there are 5 of you, let's do 3 and 2. And basically, y'all are going to be in competition against each other, and whoever gets the most correct, I'm gonna bring you a treat tomorrow. So let me tell you what we're gonna do. So one of the things that you will always see as an adult is if you go to a restaurant, you're gonna be looking at menu that has prices on it, okay? So what we're gonna do is a little menu activity, and I have several different kinds of menus. So I'm gonna tell you what kinds of menus I have, and then once you pick your menu, you'll have certain questions that go with it. So we have appetizer and starter menu, so that's like chips, things like that. Desserts, okay, so dessert menu, different kinds of desserts on it. Movie madness, so we've got different kind of things you would buy at the movie theater. Kid-friendly foods, so things you would see like on the kid menu. And concession stands, so something you might see at like a football game or something like that. So you're gonna decide who you're with. I'm just gonna give you one sheet, and then y'all will make sure you put whoever's in your group on your sheet. And then, again, it's not working the fastest, it's getting the most correct. So you wanna read really carefully about what it's asking you, because if one group gets like 4 done, but only 2 of them are right, and the other group gets 3 done and they're all 3 right, then the person in the group with the 3 that are all right will be the people that get it, okay? So first you need to decide the menu, and then after you decide that,